Good. Okay, welcome everyone. If everyone is signed in. Madam Clerk, roll please.
Okay, Lisa Denunzio, Blair Clerk. Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Mr. Bernard. Here. Mr. Hernandez.
Here. Commissioners, Julie Green asked if she could go first. I know that we have on the agenda, but Julie has to go to another function. And she has some agenda items here. If it's okay with the commissioners. Julie?
Thank you. I'll make it quick. First of all, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
So item number 27 and 28 were two items that were 26 and 27. Were two items that Trumbull Neighborhood Partnership and the Land Banks asked our request for assistance on. I don't know that I need to elaborate. Matt Martin was here last week and explained everything. I spoke with Sarah about it. It's pretty straightforward. They're just asking to reallocate the funds to use for emergency home repairs. Our office works closely with them on the emergency home repair program. We do the environmental reviews for them. Item 28, we're asking for a $30,000 grant for AI training. I sent out an email to a couple of people and asked if anybody else wanted to claim a slot. So far, we have our staff and then 3 slots available if we're funded. They will fund up to 15 these. It's a 100% reimbursable grant. Item 29 is to approve the annual agreement with Community Legal Aid for the required fair housing for a CDBG program. And we got another one.
Yeah, I think you have 25.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, 25. Initially, Mecca Township was going to submit the state capital budget request, and our office is just, assisting with that. So we're collecting that and asking that the commissioners submit the state capital budget request for the Mosquito Lake Interceptor study. We worked with Gary Newbrow. He wrote the narrative, provided the cost estimate. We are coordinating all of that to submit to our state representatives and senator.
Thank you, George. Prior to the additional agenda items, we have Mr. Stasinski here from MAS Financial Services. Stasinski,
I'll
Mark.
just do a brief introduction. I believe that this was the memo that we have. I believe that we did send it to you last week. You can have the court. And we've talked several times about the need for some decisions to be made, and it's going to be down with Chris and myself to talk about his recommendations, and we thought it was best for him to bring this. Well, that's it. Proceed both our that it's in place. Services, and he's been here before.
So good morning, all. Everyone, holiday season up for the start. Thanks for inviting me. Morning discussion. The memo is basically designed to get us off to an early start as it relates to bond anticipation notes that are coming due in March of next year. You recall last year in March, this year, I should say, county issued $7.5 million worth of bond anticipation notes, primarily for projects, some of them being elevators, engineering roof, stone building, engineering office building, and some sanitary sewer. That's the first one I mentioned for my share. Those notes outstanding. Those notes come due in March. The county has the option to convert those notes to bands. Convert those bands when your note to be a long-term influence, or continue to roll those over, issue them for another 1 year period. pay down those notes before you roll them again. Or pay them all off in cash. We know that paying them all off in cash is a rare scenario for any municipality or county. So it really is roll the notes over, pay them down, roll the notes over, or convert the bonds. We had a healthy discussion about converting the notes to bonds. Between myself and the other Chrissy. At the end of the day, because of a number of issues that are mentioned in the memo, seems to me to make sense to roll the bands over 1 year. And pay them down to about $450,000. Let the stone building be completed over the course of 2026 and revisit issue converting those bands to bonds in 2027. A couple of things that I mentioned in the memo are bands provide the county greater flexibility. We talked about this earlier this year in terms of flexibility with a variety of issues. One of the larger ones being the uncertainty of property tax reform or repeal in the state. Looks like we're getting better messaging out of reform rather than repeal, which is good news. It still remains an open item. We anticipate rates to come down in the course of 2006. Hopefully, the county will receive the benefit of lower rates on renewal, perhaps when it does ultimately decide to put it on. We know that the county is also contemplating some other projects. One of the 911 building, the dog kennel facility, and to the extent that we can accommodate and those being added to the band between now and March provides the county greater flexibility to add that. Most importantly, the bands provides the county greater control over future cash flows in the next handful of years as it relates to how the county determines to pay down the band. Once you issue convert bands to bonds, you're stuck with a fixed retirement schedule. And that's fine, and that's good planning. But to the extent that we can maintain some flexibility, whether we need some of these other projects that may come online, and then determine the final amortization of these other projects I mentioned, that gives the county greater flexibility in 2026 to put together a plan for the end of 2027 to contemplate some of these other projects, which could be anywhere from $50 to $80 million in aggregate. I think a couple things. Not uncommon. A former elected learned this in investment banking for a commercial bank for municipalities and corporate clients. They have a mix of fixed and variable debt, meaning some long-term debt, some short-term debt. Right now we have that. We have a nice portfolio of debt of $12.5 billion outstanding bond. Long-term debt, we have about $7.5 million short-term debt. So a mix of about a little over 30% short-term, some and the remaining big number. Not an unreasonable portfolio of savings yet. That's not a burden. That, like I said, that's a fair mix. At some point, again, look to convert those short-term notes to a long-term bond issue. But looking to do that perhaps 2027, 2026. Thinking about these other projects, maintaining flexibility. One of the things that we looked at was the future redemption of outstanding bonds. A fair number of your bonds, outstanding long-term bonds, are coming due in 2028 and 2029, which is going to give a reduction in annual debt service and allow the county to then add more projects, perhaps, to take advantage of that reduction in annual debt service. So you're not burdening the general fund, but adding to the debt service as opposed to waiting for a reduction and then filling that reduction with new debt service. That's the beauty of bands, is that you can roll these bands for up to 20 years, but we do have to start paying them down after year 6. That's the end. County has been very fundamentally strong paying down these bands as they have. And so it's not as though the county is kicking the can down the road As these bans have been issued, the county has been continuing to pay them down on an annual basis. And as I mentioned, the county intends to pay about $400,000 at a minimum. With the current bans outstanding, so reducing the bans, $7 million, which over 7. Now I'll stop. See what questions you have about the memo. Or anything that just scared me.
My question is, when we talk variable and fixed, what are variable, what are fixed?
So your outstanding bond, currently long-term bonds are considered fixed.
Okay,
Variable, we don't have any pure variable rate debt like corporations do. Our variable rate debt is 1 year bond anticipation notes. That's what the state statute allows for. That's what we issue.
now we roll those over.
So when we, Mark, so each year when we do that, we are probably getting a different rate than we did the last year.
Correct.
So that's what makes it variable. It's not like your typical variable rate that you're.
Oh, I understand. Okay,
But, so when he refers to it, it is effective.
right.
That's a fixed rate for 1 year.
1 year.
1 year, for that year, we're locked in, but, and I think you guys, the board understands this. The reason he's looking at us, waiting to go into a fixed rate is he believes and looks like, interest rates will. So we'll, and rather than lock in to something that's kind of high or a little bit higher, in another year, it'll be lower and we can lock into that. So it'll save us money in the long
But we try not to speculate on interest rates. Right? We don't win that game. But the flexibility of knowing that there's an intention to it, along with the flexibility that provides the county, perhaps adding projects. So perhaps even before we do this, you'll see legislation in February, maybe in January, to consider this rollover at the end. And at that time, if the commissioners are ready, you can add to that. We know that the engineer's office might have some substitution of sewer engineer of some projects, whether or not they take some off, adding to that, know that that's the name of the neighborhood. And we contemplate to the extent the commission want to consider the dog handle or the corners or the 911. So that can be added. Not the only time it can be added. Now the county we can work around county determines to do that later. We want to maintain the flexibility of these bans and other projects. We can incorporate those. And there be ones of those other projects.
I would agree. I think the trend is looking towards the rates trending downward, I believe, from what I can see. So it probably makes sense to pull out and wait until find out what that is.
That's one of the reasons, no doubt. Yeah, and giving the county commissioners flexibility. And hopefully, some of it comes in less than expected, then we can use any excess that we originally borrowed, pay it down before we go. So there's a variety of reasons we want to think that we're thinking about and recommending keeping it in the short term.
Mark, you're from county auditor. Additionally, it is, we give us in my office more time to prepare for long-term debt. There is more involved in that. And we're currently also doing a map process for the short term. So it's a lot, it does make it a little bit easier, less mistakes, if you're not hurried, those kind of things. I've heard from Commissioner Hernandez, kind of like to know today, I think if possible, what your intentions are, if you're intending to go with his recommendations, in part because if you're not, and you have to get that process for the long term.
I believe we should take the recommendation of our financial advisor. And I don't have any reason to.
Yeah, I'm favorable in short term, right?
Absolutely. And I'm on the feeling too that if there are projects that need done, I'd rather put it on debt now and get it done than wait and let the price of everything go up, because that's gonna compound later as price of materials and everything else go up.
Christy Smith, auditor's office. I was just going to mention, Matt talks about the amount we were gonna roll down. Shara, Daryl and I discussed what was left over in those funds for those projects, and that's the money that's going to be used to down this year's notes before we roll over to next year's notes. And then the other part is we're gonna take advantage of some slower time during the summer to start working on getting our documents ready to get a rating. So we're ready to go as soon as we go to. So that's gonna be a little bit lengthier of a process that involves multiple departments.
Our city auditor, Trumbull County auditor, we use that OMAP process through the treasurer's office for short-term debt rating, but we cannot use that for our loan. So that's why it's a more complicated process.
I have to issue an official statement, which is a little bit time consuming.
And trying to do it simultaneously is not, that's why we want to try to work. We'll start on it.
Those are not familiar with the official statement. It's a prospectus document that investors are looking to make something that's worth it's 100+ pages of information about the county, about financial information, county's revenue, county state law, county law, that nature, to give an investor full understanding of what they're purchasing. That's required for offering. You consider the value sheet. We need that, we also need that in order to apply for it. They're gonna want that type of disclosure. Keep in mind, the county had a rating. The county no longer has any publicly rated or publicly gold outstanding debt. Most of the debt the county has, not all of the debt the county currently has outstanding, has been purchased by way of refunding by local banks, which has really worked out to be the benefit of the county. I mean, we have interest rates at below 2%. In many cases, with some of the county's outstanding debt, and that's been a very nice way to take advantage of the low rates we were able to receive the COVID period. We refunded a lot of the county's outstanding debt, and but that would not likely be the case with public office. We would issue a conditional statement. It has to do with amortization. I mean, when you're feeling. It's a comprehensive document and needs to be self out.
Well, do we have a complete breakdown on long-term and short-term? Sure. What that is on what project and when it was taken out? And
Yes. I've emailed it a couple times, but I'll resend that when I get back to it.
Okay. Satisfied. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well stated. Honor. That's it. Commissioners, all good? No questions? Okay, so we'll move forward with our regular agenda items. Agenda item 1 is suspension of reading of the minutes of the workshop on December 9 and the regular meeting dated December 10th. 2, approve bills. 3, is this you?
This is a collaboration between the commissioner and auditor's office at 3 and 4. It's kind of a generic approval that has been passed in the past to allow us to clean up any budgetary issues that come between the commissioner's last meeting and December 31st.
Please discuss.
That allows us to do anything budgetary so that we're in compliance.
That's good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, 5 is to transfer monies submitted by the auditor. Dates from December 4th through December 10th, as listed. 6, approve additional appropriations. December 3 to December 10th, submitted by the auditor, as listed. 7, approve additional transfer of appropriations. December 4th through December 10th. Is this the one the commissioners, all these items we're talking about? Cleaning up. That's the one here.
We have a negative or needs some money.
Yep.
Creation.
You see a lot of departments are ending up their budgets for
Right.
year end. But even though they're doing that now, but in December 10th, there's still activity happening and we're still having some, non-compliance issues that we need to.
Okay. Mr. Hannaford, do you want to take this or I cyber auditor?
Yeah.
Do you want?
Mr. Hannaford.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
James, okay. So,
So Hanford IT, County, this pretty much is the adoption of a cybersecurity program. This is just laying out the framework, of what we are going to be doing over the next year. It deals in very general, topics. It follows, this standards. So is what House Bill 96 requires us to do. This is going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be monthly, probably meetings, sit down with the commissioners, go over what's gone on in the past month, adopt policies that the counties are participating in, that all county departments are going to have to follow. So that's kind of what all of this is going to be going on.
Discuss cybersecurity and for each department to, I don't know if it was like a sort of a work job type deal where we had to participate. Is that still ongoing where, where department heads or even the commissioners have to participate in a,
Yeah, we train, that's
that's
also
part of the
part of it. Yes.
when will that begin to be done?
That's going to probably be
First of the year?
Mark, your Trumbull County Auditor, I just want to remind commissioners that you did delegate this to us by journal action.
Right.
And so this is the result of that, but and it puts into place the program that was attached to this, so you should have that whole list and it includes. Right? So you guys can review that. You brought
Of the training.
the program.
The program, yes.
Right,
If we need copies.
this was attached to the agenda item, what you're receiving right now. This is the actual program, and it is basically a skeleton of the program. You're not going to get into a lot of detail because it is security, and there's things that we can't put out publicly. This is publicly, this can be public information. Some of the more detailed parts of it are not included.
Pretty intense.
And this is just the skeleton, but it covers everything that House Bill 96 requires us to cover. It puts us in compliance with the January 1st deadline by adopting it this week. And this is your last week. I would have liked to have it sooner than we have, but it isn't. So there's like a lot of work involved.
Yeah, we're all up to scale, or passwords are all
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
The departments are all functioning properly.
Yes. Yeah. We're just starting to roll out remote access for our user community. It's going to be a slow process. We're starting to identify the set of Lisa was set up so she should start. Sure, I don't know. How quick do you need it?
I don't need it fast. I can wait.
Well, does someone approve what the county, what?
Well, the auditors, the county or the auditor state they will be reviewing that as part of the audit process. Actually, our IP.
Are they okay, but we,
Right, they will be reviewing it, and if they find deficiencies, then they'll ask us to do a correction.
Okay. This will be fun.
oh, yes.
Be a lot of fun.
Like I said,
Sorry.
this is going to be an ongoing process. It's going to be a series of meetings, probably monthly, an update that we probably. What about the townships?
They are required.
Are we reaching out to them at all?
Well, I will say the auditor state is covering that for them. I think their compliance is July, not January first.
Correct.
Our responsibility here is for the county itself. Each township, each municipality is responsible for themselves. But the auditor state and the state itself has offered the same kind of advice and work that they've done to us. Their training, they have the same opportunities that we do as a county. That's and their organization, OTARMA, and their insurance organization, the Ohio Township Association, have also provided resources.
So they're gonna need a program just like we have.
Right. Now there's
Yeah, it's
it
smaller
will
scale.
be
Right.
smaller scale because most townships don't have an entire network like we do, which provides vulnerability, right? Some townships may utilize VPNs like we do. That does also is an area of vulnerability. So they'll have a different need than we do, but they will still have to have some kind of security place that complies with this.
Good.
One question, kind of auditor, are you staying, Martha, or you
I
got?
couldn't plan to say.
Hey, one just quick question. I wanted to see if we can have potentially schedule a meeting. I got a phone call from one of the union reps today, and apparently there's something with the engineer's office and your office as far as employees leaving one union, going to another union, which is making the engineer request money from the board and his
Well,
budget to pay for them.
It'll be, so our budget decreased by I'll really quickly explain this to you. So this is, we do tax map, have done, our auditor's office has done tax map early 2000. It was delegated to, and Mr. Danzo can jump in. We've had multiple conversations. Since 2019, there was an attorney general opinion that the tax map draftsman duties, which are very narrow as far as basically checking surveys, things like that, should be done under the engineer. My predecessor and our predecessor didn't know this. They didn't do anything about it. I've been working with Mr. DiCristofaro since the beginning of this year when he took office to try to come up with a solution. He will, at this point in time, he will be hiring 2 tax map draftsmen, probably 2. We can't transfer them. Doesn't work that way. But he has to he'll take application. In all probability, they will be 2 of my current employees. If you'll recall, last year when we started the budget process, I explained to the commissioners that those tax map draftsman duties have to be paid for by general fund money. That's part of the ORC. It's part of that attorney general. And so that was in our budget.
We increased your budget last year to cover it.
That's correct. And that there will be, and we actually, what I presented to you in November, accounted for that because we didn't know when this was going, right? So I had to account for the worst case scenario. It looks like it will probably happen February 1st. So, the budget that I give you will have the covering of that for that month and then not beyond that. Mr. DiCristofaro will be asking you for money to cover that again.
Money from you to his department.
Well, it's not, you're not going to move money. The budget that you approve for 26 will include money for me for those 2 employees, or it's basically 2 employees, although they're split. But it will have the money to cover those drafts and duties for that month, and that's it. So the amount that I end up bringing to you in January will be less than what I had in that. he will then be asking you to fund the remaining 11 months. Because again, it's required. We're still working out our details on that transition. It may change, the date may change, but that's our tentative date right now, is February 1st, which is the end of our current union contract. But kind of, that's part of the reason.
So would these employees have to be a new hire? Or
They would be a
something for
new
him?
hire for him, and he's offering them, given them, he's met with them twice
Yes.
now
Yes.
to deal with that. And then we would be within my union creating 2 new positions and not have the tax map GIS would go away. They would be solely GIS. They would be funded through our RE.
So would you have to eliminate positions?
Yes, we would be actually technically all 4 of the current tax map GIS positions would be eliminated. And then we would have 2 new positions that are solely GIS. And as I said, those are not general fund positions. Those are paid for by our real estate assessment. Just like half of their duties for the current 4 are paid for by REA and half are paid for by general.
So they're still union
It's a
positions,
non-
just different
it's
unions.
that makes sense.
My understanding is none of our people are gonna lose their.
Well, it's if they don't take the job in the
If
engineer's
they don't
office,
accept the job.
yeah, they won't have a job.
And it's a
So
different
they have the
union there.
all our employees have the
They
opportunity.
have the opportunity. So
I think Mr. Christopher is gonna come to us
Yeah, he
and
is.
have a meeting with us once he gets all the information, present us with the whole package, because you're talking 2 different unions.
Right.
2
Well,
different benefits.
he's actually-
and he's trying to work all that out. So I think we should just let that process.
Right.
And then let him bring it in to us and then we get it addressed.
So it's my understanding, it is my understanding that initially he plans to, the 2 new hires that he has that will be tax map draftsmen will be classified and not. And he's given them our people, has he given them
He has sent me job description.
the job descriptions?
Yes.
And he's actually, when he met with them, he talked about what benefits he would offer for the differences.
But that's why the union would be reaching out to us, because they're probably upset a little bit because they're gonna lose 2 union jobs.
I'm not sure who reached out to you, but we've been in discussions. Well, not sure who reached out to
Yeah, no, good stuff. Yeah, I just think we have to wait for him to bring us, what he's proposing to do. And take it.
you. And
Yeah, we really don't know.
again, my union is my
The
contract.
dynamics of it. were really- I know that, like you had said, there's some
Yeah.
different things that are like
There's some things
benefits.
he needs to work
Yeah,
out.
yes.
And like she said, he's had a couple meetings.
I imagine HR is involved in this somehow.
Not yet. Right,
Just
should
in
be.
trying to do a,
I don't think there's anything set in gold. I think there's just kind of talking now.
Well, if it's coming up in February, it's gotta be more than talks. If this is, we don't have a budget request with Mr. Christopher. That's why I'm asking. We
Yeah,
do
you
have a
do.
budget request for
I
this
think you
already?
do, but that it's a little bit
Later
lower
budget
than
hearings?
what he had anticipated. Because in his reassessment, Mark, you're county auditor, and I don't want to speak for him.
I know, I
She's
don't.
not areas. But I do know that it's originally he intended to hire 4, thought that's what he would need. He realized in reassessing everything. So, it was requested, you did receive an email on it with a budget, but it's not going to be as much because he's only going to hire 2 people.
From an HR standpoint, I'm gonna reserve my comments, because I did ask some questions. The union has also reached out to me. I've offered my assistance to be at the table. Auditor Uter did say she would be more than happy to have me there. There are some nuances. There's different, yes, the contract is under the auditor, however, the healthcare plan is an important insurance.
Correct.
And this is a significantly different healthcare plan. There's different personal days, there's
Right,
different,
absolutely.
there's many different things that HR needs to be at the table at some point. The union is right now, to be fully transparent, kicking and screaming. As of this morning, a call was made to myself as well. So if, I have been patient, I will wait until everybody's ready, but at some point, employees do just kind of want to understand what is look like for me at some point. And I'm happy to help, but I also understand that I do not want to.
The engineer's office, along with working with the auditor and the commissioners, find out what that all is, because right now it's just pretty, I mean, we understand the union, getting
This
antsy
is
about it, and the
yeah.
employees.
Yeah,
You know,
I'll give
but-
you that.
And we,
You know.
and I really don't know anything.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's up to the engineer. We can reach out to him, or HR can reach out to him and say, look. Direction, the board's asking me to reach out to see that thing. I think that would be appropriate. You guys agree with it, better reach out to him. Appreciation. Start. Right? You guys all right with that?
I'm fine with it. But I guess these employees are probably aware something's going on.
Well, they're aware, yeah.
They've been part of
Yeah, they're
the
aware.
discussion all along.
We had some discussion with them. What we want to do is offer them every availability in their jobs. And it'll be up to them ultimately, but we surely don't want to see them lose their jobs, so.
Well,
We will.
Nobody likes work.
I think we all agree.
All right, that's gonna be our first priority.
Yeah.
I would say.
All right, thank you. Martha, thank you. Tim, thank you. Gary.
Alicia's very happy.
Is
Nine.
it nine?
Nine's good.
Nine is not his.
Oh, is it?
Nine is
Trumbull
actually,
County? It says engineer.
it does, it was for their upgrade contract.
Okay.
But this was actually submitted to us back in August for substantial completion, sign and accept. But I believe there was an unresolved HVAC issue at the time. And that's been resolved, so now we can go ahead and sign and accept this.
Oh, okay. So it's already
Yes.
done?
Yeah.
Is it complete?
Yes,
Okay.
they're saying it's completely, that it's been solved. So.
So then I move the event or something from one.
There's something
We
to
talked
talk about with the.
Yeah.
Safe in.
In closet or whatever.
I remember that. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. Gary, do you have anything?
Yeah. Oh, you get to me.
Okay, so
Number 10.
10 is to acknowledge the retirement of Mrs. Kay Anderson from her position with the Warren Township Board of Trustees. Mrs. Anderson will be retiring on December 31st, 2025. She had 27 years of service in Warren Township and the Board of Commissioners, together with Warren Township Board of Trustees. Want to wish her and pay her a fond farewell and wish her many years of happiness, good health, and relaxation, for she is most deserving. I'm sure she will enjoy that, because I know it's been kind of a contentious couple of years here with the dynamics of all that has been going on in Warren Township. But I want to thank her for her service and with the roll of future endeavors. 11, well, Diane, you got a lot of stuff here, huh? Senior services.
Morning,
Great.
senior everybody administrator. Number 11 is to acknowledge the retirement on basis. Is the longest serving member of our council. Been on the board. 60+ years. It's been farewell. Number 12.
And also with this too, I think he had also 28 years as a trustee as well. So our resolution includes that in there also.
Okay, see, let's, whatever. Where was the, I didn't,
Johnson Township.
oh, is it here? It's not in here.
It's not in here. but it's
Okay.
on the wall.
Oh, on the
yeah, it
resolution,
says
okay.
it's services.
Number 12 is to acknowledge the 60-day notice received by Hartman Associates. Is for the additional building repair contract that we just started in November. This was to work with a wait list, for those on the wait list, and we decided to offer that. We have two other contractors that we split the remaining balance from that this contract to the other two that look well with the wait list that got a system down. Number 13 is to acknowledge the 60-day notice received by Merton and Associates from the full tour contracts that he is our only vendor on, effective February 9th, 2026. So next week, I will start reaching out to vendors to receive quotes. We're going to get multiple vendors for that, and then we just need that in the office, prepare it out. What it is, and we're going to. That's what we can with.
Is that something that we want to put out? Rather than calling or,
The short
you're gonna make
timeline
the
that we
call.
have. We're gonna create that
We don't
process.
have to, we have
We
to,
do not have to put out bids less than the $77,000 threshold. I'm going to
but the commissioners do have to vote, correct?
Yes,
I don't-
on the vendors.
On the vendors, we have, yeah. And you-
I have a question, Diane. Is there some way that we can have a form, a tag, a flyer, a card or something that says so-and-so was here at such and such date, at such and such time, and I
They're
either plowed your driveway or I cut your grass
Yeah,
and.
We laid out that plan for with Merton and Associates for the future. And since he's signed from his contract, we will have that in place with the new vendors too.
I think we need to, just like Amazon, take a picture before and after. They take a picture of your package to prove they left it there. Why can't we take a picture of the driveway before they plow it, the driveway after?
We had tried to ask for that at the time, this was even before, and they claimed it would be too cumbersome and too difficult. I just kept getting walls every time I asked for something.
Well, with this new contract, let's make it mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we need to make sure that the services are
That's
being done before we pay them, and then the residents, we need to make sure that, they're getting their service. And
Absolutely.
I think you understand that, and we all understand that.
We have a signature sheet that's going to require, if they're not home, we're going to post a sticky note on their door, giving them the instructions
A
and
good sticky
require,
that doesn't.
and require the picture. So we've got like multiple ways to provide. If Amazon can handle the business they do with taking pictures, I'm sure, or 50 yards or 70 yards that we plow or driveways we plow or grass, shrink it in 70.
Sure you can.
14. This was just a change, a name change. Peer builders at home didn't like the at sign as part of their name. Their name is spelled out AT instead of the at sign. So that's just a housekeeping to correct the name on that. Number 15. Country Neighbor is our northern tier homemaker personal care contractor. In the past, the way that they always have been, they separated the two. Homemaker, 25,000 for homemaker, 15,000 personal care, or vice versa. What they have asked is we just combine it so that their total is to be allocated between the two services based on demand. Right now, they're finding out that one area of service is not having as many requests as the other. So they're falling short with the other program, and they're leaving money on the table with opposite ones. So they're just asking. Yeah,
And you'll monitor.
they'll still bill us separation.
And you're okay with
What happened?
free to exit the cab.
Yes.
it. Well, I had one when she goes, on 35. Appointment of two, member advisory board. And we received two names. The application here.
Oh, yeah, we did.
You have two, you have Dominic Marquez and then this.
Okay.
So we
So
did
we
receive
structured
two.
Dominic's position will be a full 3-year term. This one is just through this next year. So never resigning, so.
We have those two, we have two applicants, correct?
Yeah, we're right there.
And then we'll be able to,
Next phase, this next.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you need these 3 or 4 too, right? Yeah, I'm okay.
Archie, which one do you want to have 3-year? It's one's a 1 year to fill some dominant basis.
No, this one.
Focus on
It's on there. So
that.
you got the language.
Yes.
make designation or who should get the 3-year.
I don't even know.
That's not a free.
That's a
Huh?
question.
Right,
I don't even know who.
well, you don't even know. You don't
It's big secret, that's what I said, Trumbull.
I like the first one for the 3-year term. He's got a history of public service.
Who's that?
Mr. Homilides.
Okay.
He was a Warren City Councilman, Warren City Treasurer.
Characters on one.
See, now you know. You should have closed your ears.
I like him for the permanent first one.
Okay. So then on, I gotta give you 2 more. What's the effective date?
January 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice day.
Page left.
All right, where are we at?
I'm gonna Gary today.
Do we got Gary now?
Yeah.
Mr. Schaefer?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, Gary Schaefer, Engineers Office. 16 is the grant, that's the Holland Farm, just telling. 17 is the root special service agreement with Environmental Design Group. That is going to be for the construction administration inspections for the South Main Avenue rehabilitation project. It's a large bridge up the Mahoney River, just south of downtown Main Avenue. That should start up in March, so that for the construction contract. It's ready to proceed. 18 is to approve special service agreement with Smith Group. That's going to help provide services and support us during the public hearing vacation. So one of the 19 so for the special service agreement with Manning Smith. That's going to provide us a 2-stage closure plan, which will one of the plans will be for advanced notification signage, pending closure, letting the public know it's coming, routes, detouring them onto permanently, and also the permanent closure signage plan. Give us a guide what signage installed prior. Okay. So vacation viewing is today 1 p.m. Set up small group there at Burton and I have so barrels, caution, etc. Be able to accommodate small group.
People down that road, or you can just take
Typically for the viewing, yeah, you'll travel it, yeah, so you travel it on your own. I end up taking a small group, one of our vehicles.
We got another meeting.
Yeah, we got 2 of them.
We had the meeting with the congressman's aide and KO. None of us have no big deal to do that.
supposed to be.
We have in the past, we've gone to some. And some we've not.
So like he said, we can
We
try.
can travel on our own.
Well, you mean at a different,
Typically, these are really informal on the
Okay.
gathering. A lot of times it's just us, maybe somebody without us. But it's the first time we're doing a main road for a vacation. So we're anticipating at least the press will be there.
Will you video it so you can show it at the hearing also?
You're going to be quite lengthy.
Well,
We can. Absolutely.
I would suggest that. I would think that would be part of the presentation.
There's gonna be a lot of information provided. You know, we have a traffic impact study that we've done. We're gonna go on over that, how it's gonna impact, the other local roads in that area. So far, it's a pretty good plan. It's done. Gonna get some solution.
So
Gary, do you expect that to go longer than 30 minutes?
With the temperature, if you put 70, go outside, I'd say, yeah, it might go a little longer. But I'd say it's not gonna go that long. I mean, we're gonna stick around for a little while.
No,
Not
she has-
everybody's gonna show up.
She has
right
a
away.
public hearing.
Well, public hearing, I'm sorry.
Only
It's gonna be
because
over an hour.
I believe, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're planning for a half hour, but you know, we're gonna have people speaking, we'll get a presentation, and then you're gonna have questions. And questions will take another half hour. So I'd anticipate at least walk off an hour,
I believe we have it at 10 a.m.
10 and 10:30.
Right. I have to. That's already being advertised.
There, have that.
So twice.
Runs over. We're gonna try to keep everything that we're doing within a half hour. There might be a lot of questions that might only be.
I'm Adam Christopher Trumbull County Human Services.
okay. Oh yeah, sure.
Yes. So
Shirley's next.
we currently have a memorandum of understanding with all the parties in the county regarding investigation of the abuse of neglect of children. So it's currently in effect. It's going to expire at the end of the year. So I've updated that MOU. I've gathered the signatures from all parties in the county, and the final step is to approve signatures. It's just the who, the what, the where, the how, and why, in Trumbull County, how we protect kids. It's one of many reasons why we have such a good relationship in Trumbull County with all of our parties, law enforcement, children's hospital, prosecutor's office, judges. And signed, just a note, it's been signed by prosecutor, Judge Bluehorn, Judge Engler, Sheriff Wilson, the chiefs of police of all the jurisdictions of Trumbull County, John Gargano, Acton Children's Hospital, and our agency.
So I have a question. Dave?
No,
Spelling.
actually, no. That's
Yeah, he's an O.
yeah,
He's a
there's different
DE.
spelling. I'm sure if we went that far enough, there's probably some.
Oh, DE.
Kathy probably, is all right.
Yes, the teacher.
But I think David isn't F-O-R at the end too. Here,
Yeah, he's DE.
I know DE, but isn't it David, not F-A-R, F-O-R?
A,
Is it? Yeah. Okay, so just the I and the E.
Sure, how that's spelled.
Is there any major changes in this?
Some minor language changes from the state. So they give us a template that I have to follow, but otherwise I've matched it pretty much word for word from the last one. There was a little change. The biggest change is a couple extra steps regarding reporting of missing children that might have been in agency care. So, and it was things that we were already doing, but they just kind of updated it. Pretty simple.
Thank
you.
Really?
Morning, holiday, Shelley Wasser, Job and Family Services. We're requesting to approve the personnel action to employ Miss Alexa Crawford as a social service worker two. Our child care licensing unit, she'll be paid $20.86 an hour. And this does say Monday, January 6th, but it's Monday, January 5th. And she would serve a 9-month probation. Second is to approve the agreements that we created 10 training opportunities and 6 job opportunities for a total cost of $128,222.98, fully funded through our VIOA allocations with no general funds requested. And then finally, we submitted the annual report for 2024.
to you and the staff that it.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
We already do see. Okay, so 24 is to award lowest and the only submitted bid by Dawn Inc. For the fourth floor office renovation at the stone building. It's the only bid that we received. Daryl, you want to say anything about it? It's just one bid.
It's just one bid. We had Daryl Dunnigan, Trumbull County Facilities. We had this on the agenda a month, 2 months ago. We decided that it needed to go up for RFP. In the process, the Dawn Incorporated was the only bidder.
Yeah. Bid that at what, 70?
77.
So she's under
A little bit
the
of
actual bid process. Even under. I know that Commissioner Dick, I just spoke to Dawn, but she didn't realize that. I knew it was on her agenda, but I didn't say anything. But, okay. Nick, is there, or no, it's Julie? Carrie. And we're on number 30.
Are we on 29? Any late, 30?
Did Nick do 29?
I already did that. Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer, Commissioner's item 30 is just a standard project extension agreement for sanitary sewer. There's some vacant parcels down there on the intersection of Elm Road and Timberline on the north side of that intersection. The developer wants to extend 376 feet of mainline sewer. And it's my understanding this is going to be some sort of condo development.
To the sheriff. Sheriff?
Sheriff Wilson,
Or no, sheriff. Sorry. We got tried. Is it all tied into you, sheriff?
Yes. Major Bob.
Good morning. David Bobby, Trumbull County Sheriff. So I'm here today to talk about our peer support program that we have going on in the jail. And I have Justin is here from Thrive. We had this program running for, it's almost 11 months now. And they started the program through grant for the One Ohio, I believe. And the grant is running out. Now they have options to reapply for the grant, but they changed kind of how the grant is being applied for. We're losing the funding starting January 1st. So I'm here to ask for to use some of the opioid funds to continue the program until they can get their grant funding in place, which is probably going to be, I'll let Justin talk in a second, probably early summer, possibly. The program has been very successful in the jail. They've served probably 80 to 100 clients or inmates since they've been there. One of the things, my concern is that, it took us a long time to get the momentum going with the program, and to stop it midstream now and then try to restart it again. Trying to implement programs in an establishment, something like the jail, it's kind of like turning a cruise ship. It takes a long time. And we've worked very hard over the last 11 months to get this going strong, and to maybe stop it for a few months and try to start it up again. It's going to be very, very difficult. So I'd like to introduce Justin.
Hi, Justin from Thrive Peer Recovery Services. Thank you for this opportunity. We would just like to continue our pretty successful and impactful program in the jail. Me being a person in recovery myself, so over 11 years now, I know what it's like to be incarcerated and to turn my life around. So that's what we try to do, is really just instill hope and plan for folks upon release that they don't revisit the jail stay. So out of those 100 folks that we've engaged with, 18 have ended up coming back. So pretty good percentage of folks that are out there.
Is it a Christian-based type program? What is it? How's it work?
It's all pathways are covered. So it's really, if they want to go a spiritual route, religious route, medication assisted treatment route, we work with Meridian to get them the medication, abstinence based, really whatever they would like to do. And we talk with them, see what they've tried in the past, what worked for them maybe. If they're all brand new to it, we share our lived experience. That's really just, we walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And that's what sometimes bridges that gap.
Do any move on to Teen Challenge? Is that one of
Yes.
their, they move on to the Teen Challenge?
Mhm. Yes.
Once they're incarcerated, how long does it take before you see them?
We get notifications as soon as they arrive. So a lot of inmates in there. So we have 2 peer recovery supporters. So they do the best within a week to go and see them, sit with them. And then we continue to visit with them and work on a recovery plan post-release. So a lot of them go to treatment afterwards if they need a detox still, but usually they don't. So we will get them to an inpatient stay. Some of them go to Teen Challenge, some to New Day Recovery, Meridian. Some go to sober living. There's a lot of recovery housing around here. So we try to just do whatever is in best interest for them.
So when you apply for the grant, you're gonna apply for the additional 150,000? Well,
So, yeah,
So we had, this was originally funded by the opioid settlement, the One Ohio Foundation. So we were awarded that in 2024 to use in 2025. This year they didn't open any of the funding cycle. So they're opening it first of the year in 2026. And it's a different process to apply. So even if we apply, we have to get approved as a provider, and then we have to submit the RFP. That has to get approved. And then hopefully by like June, some of that money will be released.
so do you have a number that you're asking us for, or just?
it's 150,000 that, I think there's, I sent a letter that breaks down all their costs. That pays for 2 full-time employees that come into the jail every day. And then their administrative costs and that kind of stuff.
Supervision, here's where I've had that supervision.
Is that for a whole year?
Yes,
For a whole
So, but if they get the grant, then it won't be the
get your money back. Yep, give the money
We
back.
get our money. I mean, not that, man. I mean, I think.
Right.
So first of all, I want to congratulate you on your service.
Thank you.
That's number one. Secondly, I like the program. And I believe anything that gives the inmates or anyone another chance is something that commissioners really need to look at. I have that for you as one commissioner. I know the other. I know you guys are on board with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. As long as we can keep folks out of the jail and engaged in their recovery plan, they got a shot.
Right.
So that's what we just try to do.
And you as a mentor, try to help them transition.
Yeah, we walk with them. A lot of hand holding in the beginning,
Yeah.
but the idea is for them to be self-sufficient eventually. And it's pretty neat. A lot of our employees used to be our clients. So it's kind of the full circle. They want to give back, like a lot of us in recovery. That's that.
Nice program.
Thank you so much.
And your numbers are good, it's 118.
Yeah.
Dave Bobby, Sheriff's Department. I invite you over at some point to come and see some of the stuff that they do, the peer support. You know, we had that AG grant too, you know, where we have Miss Williams as our program coordinator. We've been contracting with probation people and a couple other providers in the community to run a bunch of different kind of programs now that we didn't have last year. So got a lot of things going on. I think we have 8 different chaplains coming in now for our religious services and a lot of stuff. Like I said, it takes a long time to get this stuff accepted and implemented. And stopping midpoint and then trying to start again. It's very difficult.
So this was a new program that your administration started, correct?
Yeah, it started in February, January.
Yeah, about February.
Yeah. But we didn't have anything to do with the grant. They
No, I
came to us and says, hey, we're gonna get this grant. Are you interested? And we were like, absolutely, you know, so.
But it was a new program that I just
Yeah,
started
yeah,
last
yeah.
year.
It started in I think end of January. It was, yeah, early on. Any questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure. Sheriff Wilson, Trumbull County Sheriff's Office. So with the Thrive program, giving the inmates support after the release is the most important. Because if they don't have anywhere to go, they don't have any help, they're going to commit crimes or start using again. So it's very important that this program continues. Thank you for Major Bob and just for all that they've done for us so far. We did start multiple programs in our jail to help people not come back to jail. Our goal is to keep people out. So the addiction programs, counseling, mental health, addiction, and the counselors are getting to see inmates more often. Bringing the clergy in, it's a big plus also. Have one specifically for our employees and the rest are in our jail working. And the inmates can put in a request to see them at any time they want to contact them. So that's a big help. So, the only other issue we have in our jail is probably our boiler, which you guys have received a report from the engineers. I don't know if you've had time to discuss that or not. I received a call from the engineer yesterday describing his recommendation was a replacement high efficiency model. Do you get that report to a chance to look over that?
Yeah, I think we got the notification.
It's in his box.
We did have a
And
question.
I reached out to Mr. Danzo and I don't know, if you comment on my question for you.
Sure, Commissioners, Bill Danso, Prosecutor's Office. We talked about, the process I know for competitive bidding takes a while. And now that you have an idea of kind of what equipment you're looking for, what replacements you're looking for. I got a message from Julie Green that she believed there was some boiler companies, even potentially through state purchasing. And I talked to Commissioner Bernard yesterday about some other avenues. And I just wanted to kind of update the board. In 2019, the Attorney General put out an opinion that said for cooperative purchasing agreements that bypass competitive bidding, the statute did not allow for any construction services or construction services through any kind of exception to bidding like that. The statutes didn't really go that far. And it kind of threw everything statewide into a little bit of a panic because there were a lot of things that counties were doing, roof replacements, things like that, that now all of a sudden were called into question by this opinion. In 2024, the AG issued another opinion sort of clarifying that, saying, well, we mean you can't build new buildings essentially with cooperative purchasing, state purchasing to exempt from bidding. But there are things that are like repairs, replacements that would fall under just regular services that we think, probably are okay. But then, of course, like oftentimes happens with the state, they say, but ultimately it's a question of fact, and we're not going to give you a specific answer on what would count for anything. What I will say is this, is if we've hit the point where we think that the engineers have put a plan into place that these boilers can simply be replaced, repaired, services that go along with that, if the board is aware of, or if you guys at facilities are aware of any companies that are either a state purchasing vendor that have a contract with the state or are some other sort of purchasing group affiliated with a contract that's been bid out through those processes, I think there's a very good legal argument that you guys could use one of those firms to actually do the boiler replacement work and to purchase the boilers from through one of those programs that's exempt from bidding, as long as you know, again, as long as we're talking replacement repair and not a wholesale reconstruction of the system. And I think from what I'm hearing, you know, there's obviously some service and work in the replacement alone, but it's essentially replacement of these boilers. So I think, you know, I'm not really an expert in what kind of a lot of times with the state purchasing, you have the bigger companies because they're the ones that have statewide contracts. So I don't know who those folks are. You guys may have a better idea who those folks are to kind of reach out and find out, hey, you know, who's a member of these programs, who's got state contracts, who's got other purchasing contracts elsewhere. And, you know, from there, I guess also a factor is, you know, who's got stuff that could be done more quickly if time is of the essence here. So
I think there's probably more of a commercial application, like you have, like, not to mention, not to say any names, but either like York Mechanical or one of those big, you know, commercialized type.
We have a.
Do you? Okay. Did you want to elaborate on that at all there? Or the list? I mean,
The list of state purchasers.
well, we do have state purchasing. We do have companies,
Yes.
so we could bypass.
My question to you, Daryl, is do you deem that it's an emergency that we should move ahead of this as quickly as possible? Or should we go through the bidding process?
I think the bidding process is entirely too long for this circumstance. Just to put it in perspective, if that boiler goes down, our option is to rent one on a trailer at $10,000 a month. And then the process to get it here is a week. So we would have at least a week of downtime with no heat and retrofitting.
So your recommendation is that we move ahead as quickly as possible?
That is my recommendation.
I think what the prosecutor's saying,
Well,
as long as it's state purchase, that you know you're getting a
Right.
state price or a
Correct.
purchase. you
So
know,
that's
one of the
the-
lowest
Daryl
prices.
has that list of
Yeah.
vendors, so.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's not really bypassing a competitive bidding process because the state competitively bid. So we're just kind of piggybacking on what they've already done. So the same with some of these others, like the National Joint Powers Alliance, some of these other purchasing, nationwide purchasing programs have that too, where there's a subdivision somewhere in the country that'll bid this out, and then anybody else can piggyback off of that competitive bid. So it does save us time. I agree with that. I mean, I think if we were to do our own competitive bid, that's going to add at least a month, probably more to the process.
Yeah, we'll be in the
So
spring.
does the board need a motion then?
Well, what the next step would be, if we can identify a vendor that is a state purchasing vendor that you guys feel comfortable with, that can basically give us their quote then based on what the state contract says, because the state contract probably is big. It probably has, depending on what size boilers you need, depending on what services you need for that replacement, they're gonna have to price that out. But then what you guys would do is you'd approve that contract ultimately. That would be really all based on that state contract. But there would be no other preliminary stuff that you guys would need to do other than have your facilities folks kind of get that specific price from whatever vendor would qualify.
Do we have a price from a consultant? In that report, did he give us a ballpark price that we can use
Yes,
as?
he did, and I'm not sure if that's vendor that he quoted is on the state purchasing. That's what I don't know. And I don't know if Daryl knows. Do you know, Daryl?
I may not, but at least we have from a consultant what ballpark we should be in.
Right. Right, yeah, he put a figure there.
Yeah.
So how many companies do you have? Number
Three.
three?
Sheriff Wilson, Trumbull County Sheriff's Office. One issue that we have attempted to address is if our boiler goes down and there's no heat, what do we do with our inmates because we can't house them? So we started Major Bobby contacted multiple sheriff's offices. We have to send our inmates out. Not only is there the cost and expense of travel to transport them, but $65 to $150 a day per inmate to house them if we don't have heat.
We know that. We gotta get on this.
So it's imperative that
Yeah, this,
we get
this
this
needed done.
done as quickly as possible.
It's needed done.
We had a little
This
break in the
needed done
weather coming up this
20 years
weekend.
ago.
So, but my question is, do we need to provide any legislation for resolution for Daryl to move forward, or he can just move forward and bring it
Well, we're
down?
gonna have to vote on the company, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but he can bring us all the information without us.
Right, and if Daryl finds something, even if it's the end of the week, we can call a special meeting and vote on that if we need to. You know, I'm okay with that. I mean, we got the holidays coming up, we don't want that to be a factor. We're gonna be lucky to get a company to be in around the holidays without paying that extra fee. We should get on it ASAP.
In the engineer's report, there is in stock boilers that could be used, as would be indicated. And it could be completed within 2 weeks of the start time.
If that guy's on the list.
If we can use that person, correct? And if they still keep those in stock. Otherwise, he said they have to build one out. It could be a month before they even get the equipment here. So it's imperative that we do this quickly if they have it in stock at the site. And I believe that contact the engineering consulting firm to see who's exactly he contacted. All right, thank you.
We can find out if that recommendation is on the state purchasing, especially if it's a 2 to 3 week lead time. I have one I can put together. I know it's a 4 to 5 time, but I can have that put together by the next day. Actually, yeah, 30 minutes after this.
Well, my only suggestion is that you reach out to the consultant who did the inspection. You try to coordinate everything, get this moving along.
I would like to see that.
Was that the gentleman here yesterday?
Yeah,
In the Manila phone? Okay, he was leaving for Mexico today. He's not around.
Yeah, but the son's here.
Yeah, the rest, he's been in Mexico.
Okay.
Did he drop it off? Oh, so he
I
did,
didn't know who it was. I didn't
he
know.
did drop it off.
Yeah,
So we have
it's
his
in a
quote.
block. I looked at it.
I told him you guys.
There's a number there and everything. It's an amount, but we didn't write a company. That's.
And then when we have had 2 or 3 emails from companies reaching out to us saying, hey, we hear your boiler's got a problem. We specialize in it. Some of any of them were in state purchasing. We look at our emails for the last 2 weeks of our company. And if any of them were,
Well, you got the green light.
Get the information to you.
And I don't know if there's any way to reach out. Sometimes you can reach out to the people at Ohio Buys, the Department of Administrative Services, and say, hey, is there a way you guys could give me your list of boiler people, heating and cooling boiler people? And they may be able to help do that as well.
yeah. On the same note, Mr. Chairman, too, we need to address the front steps. If we get hit on social media now too about the condition of front steps, we got cones. The steps are crumbling. It's a trip hazard. You know, how long are we gonna let that sit there? Can we do something about that immediately? And it's also been talked about the steps, of course, the law library, that's separate. We got an ARPA thing on that when we had a bid of 700,000. We reduced it. We got no qualifying bids, price range where we needed to be. So that's a separate issue. But the front steps coming in this building is the public entrance. And it is an eyesore. And if people are complaining about it now, we need to do something about that ASAP and not just have cones out there until spring.
Well, I agree. With the temperature, I was gonna ask her, with the temperature going up the next couple of days, is there some way we can get in there and put a patch on that so we can use those?
I mean, I don't even want to put a patch on it. Let's just
Well-
fix it. Let's just have
well-
someone that can specialize in that and fix it. It's not historical value
Like they
like,
fix them, it's patch, right?
no.
I don't think you're. Yeah,
That's a quick repair, but on the
Until we can get to
temperatures
the.
right now, that's the thing. That's the best we can hope for is a quick repair.
Right.
The temperatures are consistent.
Right, yeah, I don't know if you can get in there and do it all, but if we can get it fixed till spring and then repair it.
Well, let's get it lined up with someone. Because
Well,
right
that's-
now, I don't
that
want
was
to
my
let it sit there
question.
for weeks.
We've talked to a couple cement people and had them look at that. Unfortunately, again, it's the temperatures are keeping.
Yeah, but once it gets to 45, the next couple of days, can they get in here and do a temporary patch?
Reach out to.
I'll reach out to get the name of the company, but I had a company come around and give me an evaluation for the R steps, some steps behind the courthouse, and as well as highway engineers. The biggest issue in the wintertime is if they cure the right way once you lay it. That's a big issue. Just because you lay concrete temporary doesn't mean it'll settle like it's supposed to. So the moment we lay it, it could crumble within probably another week or two, depending on the salt we put on there. So that's a big issue as well. And big cures within that time.
So what are you saying?
Sam, we could patch it, but probably in another month it'll be crumbled just as.
Well, let's find a concrete specialist that helps that. Let's find someone that deals in that for a living, that builds steps, does that. And put them on it. They say, hey, we gotta do it at this date, then we got it in writing from them, and then at least would say, we did our due diligence to make sure it got done as quick as it could possibly get done. And not just put some cones out there until to be continued or kick it down the road to spring. I don't want to do that.
And the other thing is, what about calcium that you need for the sidewalks that have to be, and we need to purchase that and get that out there.
I did research the product that we're using. It's a mixture of salt for steps and walks. It's a mixture, but it's definitely not something that works at the lower temperatures, like we had yesterday at 9 degrees. And also it does lend to spalling and tearing of the steps. So we're looking at replacing it with calcium chloride. Or a mixture of calcium.
What about just a plain de-icer also? I mean, I know that doesn't work in temperatures, but that'll protect the cement.
The de-icer is a calcium chloride. So that's what we're looking at.
Well, we need to get that on purchasing. And Sharon, Sharon's got the money. She told me today she had it.
I got the quote for that from our supplier yesterday, so it's ready to go.
Okay, excellent.
I want that subject matter too, the library steps are really taking a lot of heat. Now listen, commissioners, this isn't something that just happened overnight. Those library steps have been like that for a lot of years, not on the commissioner's watch. And it's another thing that social media is blowing up, saying the commissioners aren't doing their job. They have to understand that we had a quote of $750,000 for those steps. We didn't, but I think the board had a quote of $750,000. I think we're gonna have to reach out to Warren, maybe Eddie Colbert, maybe the mayor, and let them know that, I don't know if this is something that is, the fact that it is a historical building. We could get away with using a different material there, cut down on the cost, but open those steps up. This is all part of what we're going to be talking about, a maintenance program too, along with maintenance on all these buildings to get commissioners up to speed to what all this stuff is that has been going on for a lot of years. It happened just this year. This has been going on, the boilers, steps, these steps, all these things have been going on for years. So it's our job to get moving, but also to find the money to do it and to do it in a fashion that is affordable.
And there's no way I'm gonna use taxpayer dollars to pay $700,000 for steps. I've already
I understand.
said that.
So Bill
Many,
Vance,
many
of the
years.
prosecutor's office, I think we need to clear that up because I'm not sure that's all entirely accurate based on what really happened back then. First of all, to put that out there is we set aside ARPA funding for the repair and replacement of steps. It's still sitting there. The ARPA money is still sitting there ready for this project, but we haven't I'm not sure that this ever went out to actual bid. Okay. I think we got some people to look at it, and I think we had an engineering firm give quotes. Now, when we talk about the big scary numbers like 700,000, there were a lot of contingencies, as I recall. This is just based on my memory, but I believe there were a lot of contingencies on there. Those steps cover up essentially the support for the columns that are in front of that building. So what I recall from that process back when it happened was that some of those big numbers were like the worst case scenario numbers. Like if we take the steps off and we find big structural problems that could cause those columns to collapse, there could be other things. But see, I think it's important to be clear, that goes beyond just the steps. So when you hear like steps cost $700,000, that's not really steps cost $100,000 or $700,000. if there's structural problems because of maybe some of the decay or the age or whatever in that building, there may be things to address when the steps are off. So I think what I would say with this is I think it might be important for you guys maybe to pull those old records. And I know that was before you guys were here on that project too, but maybe pull some of those records and take a look, because those particular steps may not be, maybe it does end up that high, but it may not be that high once you start digging into it. That's all I would say. I think it's something that needs to be re-explored.
Part of the bid, or part of the process, I guess, when the estimate that they got was a historical recreation of those steps, usually the sandstone or whatever that they were supposed to use. And that was something that kept the price just at the steps over 350,000, told us. And that's where if we can get a variance and say, hey, can this still be a historical building and use cement instead of using a sandstone, whatever mixture of what was used initially 100 years ago? That's where the holdup is with this thing. It's a specialty product that's a historical significance, that if we do it the right way, to keep it on National Register of Historical Places, you got to do it a certain way, which runs that type of cost. While our steps leading up to the law library, that historical value, yeah, it was a gift from the Carnegies. It was something, but we're talking taxpayer dollars here. What's more important, our roads or roofs or steps leading up to a library that has steps in the interior of the building also.
I agree with you, but here's my question, Commissioner. You already allocated $750,000.
350.
Oh, you already allocated 350 for that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's that we spent some on the architect, so we have a lot left. We have like 330, somewhere around there.
So, Mr. Danzo, you're saying it didn't go out to bid, so should we put it out to bid and see where we're at?
Well, that's where the last maintenance guy was handling all that. When he left, that's something we haven't charged Daryl with doing that now, reopening. Do we want to trust the last guy's bids, or do we want to have Daryl do it?
No, I don't want to trust anything.
Did I give you the architect?
I have the architect.
Okay, I thought I did.
So can we instruct Daryl to put that out for bid?
Absolutely.
Bring us in for a
It
price.
was bigger, but it was not now.
And the other thing is, do we have that report from the insurance company? We need to see that. We need a report, like Commissioner Renee. We need to know shape we're in with our facilities.
Commissioners, I've been meeting just to, so I did meet with Corsa last week. I visit with them, Alex and Jeff Bush from the Resources Department. I apologize. I met with Corsa last week and our insurance broker. I do have some tough decisions coming down the pipe for the board. Corsa is changing the way a little bit we think about things, specifically in context about historical buildings. So we have 3 historical buildings in this county. Again, everything logged, we know what it is. We know it's the courthouse. We know that it's the law library. And there's one more that I'm missing, and I apologize. It's on a list that I just was provided on Thursday. With that being the case, of course, it's changing how we do things. They're proposing to the Board of Commissioners, so I will be bringing to your attention sooner than later, so that we need to sign off on a maintenance decision. Do you want to have a replacement cost on those or a complete? So there's 2 options. You can do the replacement cost or the renovated cost. So why that's important is because you guys have to understand with them, and I just talked, historical buildings are historical buildings. What that means is if the courthouse were to catch on fire, there'll be 2 cost options. You have to make an informed decision. Obviously, you know that you run some risk if you don't do the full replacement because it's a historical building. So even courses, see these guys. We've identified these as 3 historical buildings, including the law library. It's on the list. It's deemed historical. I understand you don't want to maybe, spend that much money. However, then we need to go out to bid and find somebody who can do it for cheaper. I don't know what to say, but it is a historical building. You are not going to get around that unless you somehow get it deregistered as a historical building circa 1927. So we're going pretty far back.
Millions of dollars. I guess the question there is, what's the premium difference?
There's not much. It makes way more sense.
Because a lot of times it doesn't. It's like liability versus full coverage. For the extra cost in that type of structure, it makes it worth it.
Yes.
It's not that
Well,
much.
that's why we need to sit down with
However,
KO consultants and say what's out there for historical building.
Because even I think I do find that interesting to say even just looking at it a little bit different, which is a good thing. That means that we're all looking at these things a little bit differently because we should, because historical buildings fall into a true different category.
Once they're
than our
gone, they're gone.
That's correct. And again, you'd be facing some liability if you choose to not replace it as it was built. We would have a lot of more problems than what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, we need to try to preserve those as much.
At least, I hate to say this too, but at least it's only 3 of our 27 buildings versus 27 of our 27. So, you know.
Well,
Well,
I
I know
would
you
agree.
got some work.
Daryl to get on to all these things, and we are gonna definitely be looking at, you know, where we are
We
currently,
need an
this
inventory
maintenance,
of
because
everything, so we get no more surprises.
Right.
We have that.
I do
so
have
we that.
files. Does Corsa know when they replace things?
No, they're gonna have to work on updating it.
I have a lot of stuff. I have files on each thing that we have replaced, especially the big stuff. They all come through here. So it's all, I don't. At least the stuff I have.
anything that is, you
We
know,
have
10 years or so
significant
should be starting to look at really,
deficiencies.
the exception of like,
Like,
thank you.
But I will, real quick,
So
before we
get
move
close
on,
to-
because I was gonna bring the appraisal.
Okay, so to sum it up, we know where we're at with all this, with the boilers, what we're going, we know the maintenance.
We're waiting on Daryl.
issues. Daryl,
Daryl will be here in
You're
30
gonna be-
minutes.
you're on the spot.
30 minutes.
I'll have an option for you.
Okay.
Well, just make sure it's the best.
Thank you for your patience. I know you're enjoying this. Todd?
Tisa McDonough, 911 Director. Number 33, super personnel action for the employment of Miss Raina Russell, full-time dispatcher, 1796 per hour, effective Sunday, December 28th. Yes, this will bring us up to 3 new hires, with 2 right now that are in various stages of their training. Raina will be the 3rd, and we have several more interviews that are going to be scheduled right after the holiday.
It's good to have.
And so, working on it. And just to give you an update on the Rapid SOS, so far it does not sound like we'll get an extension on the price past the new year. They're supposed to go up effective January 1st of 2026 as far as the pricing goes.
Did we not discuss that service going from like a bi-yearly thing, or you know what I mean? To see how that's works, would they do that? I think we
I believe
discussed.
you do it. The only reason I did the 5 years is because if it works out, we like it, obviously, you know, locking it 5 years, it locks in the price for the 5 years as opposed to it going up anywhere from 2 to 3 times. So instead of being 40 grand a year, it could potentially be upwards of 60 to, 100.
Well, the other thing, they said we could put a clause that we could give 30 or 60 days and opt out of it, right? So I
So
agree.
you could do a
If you
5
go
year
with the
and
5
opt out.
years and with an option to get out after,
After 90 days.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to just find out, Bill, you might be able to speak to that. Generally speaking, it's gonna take at least 90 days to even implement. If, we'd have to probably specify that 90 days post implementation or go live, I guess would be the easiest way.
Or was there a 5-year lock with, after it's implemented, an opt-out with a notice period?
That's an option. That's what we normally.
This is what we were talking about, because
Yeah,
we're not gonna do, I mean, we're not gonna implement it and then 90
Yeah, it's
days,
best-
just
yeah.
get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, like even if we're a couple years in with 90 days notice, we can.
Right,
we
that's
can-
what I'm
not-
not, that's not working.
That's what I would say.
That's what you're saying, right? We don't like. it.
So a
Yeah.
termination of the contract
Yeah.
with 90 days notice.
Right,
basically what
something
you're
like
looking at. So with that being said, potentially, just to make sure I'm clear, you guys might be on board with doing the 5-year. If we get a contract, say, we can opt out 90 days notice.
yeah, I mean,
I still have reservations on the whole thing though. I talked about it last week. You know, we had a presentation. We went into this to try to figure out how do we alleviate all the calls coming in. We had a 45-minute presentation about something that had nothing to do with eliminating calls. And then when they went to the call part, it went to location and things like that. Some of that stuff we're already getting for free now. Then when they went to the call part, he failed miserably with the worst presentation I've ever seen. where he showed, hey, let's do a call and see what happens. And it was nothing but AI. And all the feedback I got from the public after that was, hell no, we don't want to deal with a bot. We don't want to deal with a robot that's telling us, you want this, or you want this, you want this, you want this. And for that guy to try to make a call about an abandoned car, I mean, my blood pressure went through the roof. And I said, there's no way in hell I want to subject our citizens to having to deal with this. It's like basically wiping our responsibilities off. And no offense, Stacy, I know some people working hard on this, but I don't think the public wants that. They want a body. They want a warm body when they call. They want a community feel. 911 dispatching, people are calling in a time of need, in a crisis where they most need help. In a bot, an automated call, a this or that, that's still going to have to get transferred to a person after that, and then still going to have to listen to what the bot already told them so they can transfer it to an officer. There's too many gray areas. And even talking to some of the dispatchers, they don't all want this. You know, the ones that I talked to in the last week said they've got a ton on their plate right now and to learn something new on top of everything and the stress they have with the hours they're working, and to add another layer on top of this. Maybe after a move, when we get into a new building, we get more settled. But to rush this thing in, it's got to be done by January 1st. That's 2 weeks from now. We got to sign this contract or else we're double or tripling the price. I don't do business that way from any business. I don't care if it was a contractor for plumbing that's coming to us saying, you got to buy this now or in 2 weeks, I'm doubling the price on you. I don't do business with that guy. And I don't like that's what they said.
But no, this is just the way of the business. This is when they're implementing cost freezes. It's not like they decided to stick it to us. What I can tell you is Summit County is using AI and they reduce their calls immensely. They're using a different program called Aurelian. I have to call out to them to see how much they're paying. I haven't got the cost yet, but I guarantee it's more than what ours would be. Additionally, he used a bad example of using the vehicle, abandoned vehicle.
It's horrible.
Think about fireworks calls, court calls. I need to pay a ticket. Those are calls that we should be getting. Either that or you as a board need to go to these cities and townships and villages that we dispatch for and say, we're not taking your calls anymore. That should be handled by a clerical person Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. That's where the buck needs to stop. We are sitting collectively at the bottom of the hill with the trash can and
not to interrupt you, but if we can do that, then why would we want to spend $40,000 a year?
That's free. We eliminate our phone number for those calls.
Want to spend $40,000?
Right now, if the sheriff's department is still advertising 675-2730, if you want to call the sheriff's department, that's our 911 center. That's a dispatcher answering that call for anybody. I get someone in jail. I want to see if they're still there. Can I talk to my husband? He's in jail. When is so-and-so getting out? They're getting those calls. Our own sheriff's department is still publicizing that number. So we need to lead by example. Remove that non-emergency number and push it back. Make the townships deal with it. Remove it from our own literature with our own sheriff's department. That's going to alleviate calls right there. Someone calling about fireworks. If they want to know when fireworks are or they hear fireworks, they're not going to say, oh, well, boy, I got served great by a robot and they answered my question perfectly. They're still going to say, we had a commissioner that called her 30 times in a year that didn't settle for an answer. Even a dispatcher gave her one of the supervisor on top of it. We're going to get more and more of those calls. Let me talk to your supervisor. I don't want to deal with this answer that I got that's automated, that may not answer it. They like that. We're a community. We're still, as big as we are, we're still a 200,000 person community. And when you dial 911 or you call the police or fire, I want someone to get a warm body that cares, that knows that can feel the emotion coming from the call, and then do what they do best and act accordingly. I guess that's my 2 cents.
I think the simplest answer is it's been done this way this is another instance of the can's been kicked down the road, just like the dispatch center. For years, it's been done that way. If you try to remove those numbers from the sheriff's website, it's still going to be on Google. Things that are on the internet are on there forever. The only way I think successfully we can break that chain is that if we get a new center, we will change our phone number, our 10-digit number for dispatch. It won't be 2730 anymore. I can guarantee you that. That would be my first suggestion. That way, all these auto
Why can't you change it now? Yeah, change it now. Why do you have to wait for a new center? Change it now.
If I get the authorization from you guys, I'm just telling you, you think you got calls from people saying they don't want to deal with AI? You're going to get calls from police chiefs and citizens saying, Why can't I call the 10-digit number and get the police department anymore?
Yeah,
You're
but they're not
get-
gonna be calling saying,
Because we
Give me
can't
a
take the
robot.
200,000 calls a year that aren't emergencies. That's why, I mean, you're telling me that we get 200,000 calls.
Then I think we're gonna need a letter from the commissioner saying that you guys fully support 911 and us changing our phone number and let all these Hubbard, Champion, all these township cities, villages know that we are no longer answering their non-emergency calls. That they're gonna need to staff somebody
I can
or
tell you-
do what small agencies do, like back home. They have a cell phone for their officer in charge. When you call that number, it rolls to the cell phone of the officer driving around in his car, and when he answers their calls.
or an employee answering the phone like they used to.
Well, that's why I said usually it's like 8 to 4, and then after 4 o'clock, they would roll to like an on-duty
And
cell
then
phone.
we still, the way they talk to us too, we still have to backload all that information. If they want to know when winter fireworks in Warren, we have a warm body, program that bot to say fireworks in Warren are this time. Someone's gonna do this time. That's more data entry. There's gonna be human involved that we pay to load the bot and give them all the information, what they need to do, so that someone will answer the phone and answer it. So we're still expending labor on that in some way, shape, or form that we don't have right now.
So I'll throw in something here too, Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. We are at the point where we need to be having a new final plan adopted for the 911 center. And Tacey's done a draft of it. There's some things that need to be rehashed in that. This is one of those things that frankly, I think is a decision of the Board of Commissioners when it comes down to it. My understanding with working through a little bit of that process has been that there are counties who their policy is we do not take non-emergency rollover calls from other places. Is that correct? I mean,
I'm sure there, I mean, I
So,
see it back.
what I have heard kind of through the grapevine of looking into this 911 final plan stuff is that one option may be to say, look, we don't take rollover calls from any of these other subdivisions anymore. Okay, your 911 fees that each subdivision pays in is for 911 emergency dispatch only. But that doesn't mean you can't have sort of that a la carte menu on the side. If a subdivision says, well, we really want you to take on our calls, and the commissioners or the 911 review board want to allow that, you could say, okay, if you want after hours rollover calls, that's going to be $15,000 additionally for your subdivision, maybe based on population, whatever it is. But then the commissioners and the 911 review board, they can decide, do we want to allow this extra service? But if so, those funds maybe help pay for that extra employee's time that's going to do those kind of non-emergency calls, or at least help offset the cost of answering all those extra calls. Right now, they're all getting it for free. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I think a lot of people who call that non-emergency number don't know they're calling it. They're calling their local place, getting a rollover, and all of a sudden the dispatcher's answering 911.
That's what's going on.
And, that's something that could be done. Now, there's some other things that go along with that, because when we adopt that final plan, which really should be done relatively soon, the thing is, there's some other moving parts to that I think that we have to talk about as well. And they get into the funding structure, how, right now, the funding structure that we have may not be the one that we need to have for the new final plan. There's other funding things, for example, we've talked in the past, and I'm not pushing one way or the other, but there's the option of having that per improved parcel charge that helps to fund the 911 center. But those decisions have to be made within so many days of adopting that final plan. So it's really hard to adopt that final plan if the commissioners don't have at least some sort of game plan or idea of what they want to look at for 911 funding. Because again, the main funding mechanism is going to be embedded in the final plan, but that per parcel charge, things like that could change. If you guys wanted to consider it, it could change how that funding formula looks in the plan. So again, all of this there's a lot of moving parts to it, but I think that the main point for this discussion is that, again, there could be an option of shutting down those subdivision rollover calls, those non-emergency calls for other places. But if the commissioners wanted to do it, there may be a mechanism to sort of get people to pay for that service if they truly need or want it at the time. So,
Well,
That sounds like a great idea.
yeah, but my impression was that we needed to get rid of those 200,000 non-emergency calls to help the dispatchers. Okay, so let's say, for instance, that every township says, okay, we're going to pay you extra. Okay, so even though we get the money, that doesn't help the dispatchers because they're still gonna have to take those 200.
Yeah, but we can hire call takers again that don't
Well,
even know dispatching, and just answer general phone calls for 35,000 a year like we used to have.
So we're gonna have to hire 3 of them for 3 terms, right?
Well, actually, I don't think that's a viable option, just in the sense of we're showing that it's difficult just to hire dispatchers who are qualified.
Right.
And we would love to get to a status of where we have call takers who take calls and the dispatchers who handle the calls. That would help balance the load. But we can never get to that point because we're still fighting through to try to get people trained as dispatchers. I think ultimately at the end of the day, we should be responsible for those calls at all. Those are non-emergency calls. Those should be handled by the police entities in the cities and the villages for which they originate. We are a 911 center. We should be handling 911 and the dispatching on the radio of the emergency calls.
I
those
agree
type of
with
things.
Casey.
I don't
with
disagree
Casey.
with that either.
I think she had a good idea. Listen, we go to the cities and the villages and the townships and tell them, like the prosecutor, like Bill said, either you're going to pay for this service or those calls are going to be answered by your on-staff department, whoever's there, or after hours by that officer's cell phone for non-emergency. There's no reason why
I don't
911.
think she's saying.
Yeah, I don't think we should even give the option of them paying for the service. I think we should say
Okay, so-
effective
So
June
then let them
1st.
handle it on their own.
She's
I mean-
saying, Bill's saying, I'm kind of leaning that we're an emergency center. Those are the calls we should take.
Absolutely, 911, not a firework, not a
And I think it's just
chickens
gotten out
running
of
in my
hand
yard
over the
and
years.
the neighbor's not
I mean,
home. Or,
when you have
you know.
200,000 non-emergency calls and how many
Right now, we're at 67,000
emergency calls? I mean, guys, look at that. It's 3 to 1 non-emergency calls.
Well, I mean, that factors into a lot of the duties that they do at the 911 center that shouldn't fall on us. So I know I'm working right now, perfect example. I'm working with Tracy over at adult probation. She's trying to get a leads terminal at her agency so they can run their own criminal histories for their officers for reports. That's another thing we shouldn't be doing at our center. It's a clerical function of the job. And because for years it's been done that way, and because a lot of these entities are ran by judges, I can't go tell a judge, hey, we're not running your stuff anymore. That's not going to go over very well. You'll be hearing complaints about me in that sense, but we shouldn't be running those things. Previous agencies I've been at, when you as an officer take a police report, you have a criminal history for somebody for, say, domestic violence or something like that. When you send your report over, you're required to send that report with the CCH. They should make a copy of it at that time and make sure it goes to the court with it. So what's happening currently is the judges will call over and say, hey, we need a CCH for this. 2 days later, the clerical staff will say, hey, we need a CCH for this. You're running the same guy 3 and 4 times. And then we get dinged on our audit because we ran a CCH for 3 times on one person. You should be running it once. It should be packaged together. Or you have employees, you have your own ORI number at each agency. Adult probation does, these courts do. They have staff that can do that, and we would be more than happy. I would pay overtime to train them on how to run those things, which most of them know how anyway. That's another duty that they need to keep in-house and not funnel to us. Tracy actually approached me. She's like, hey, we know it would help you guys out. I'm looking into it. It's going to cost them $250 originally to set it up, $25 a month for a license. And then that's going to take about 20 to 30 CCHs a day off of our records. So this is where we need to get these duties that really shouldn't be our duties off of our plate. And I think, I don't know, legally wise what our option is, but to me, I would say, hey, obviously we can't say effective January 1st, that's a week from now. Say, hey, effective June 1st, you're no longer answering your non-emergency rollover calls anymore, and cut that. And, if you want to cut it, I'm more than happy to cut it. I would cut it today.
Do it February 1st.
I think that's
Casey,
probably too short a notice, but most of these agencies, I think what they would need to do is get a cell phone plan, have a rollover number. That number can go to the on-duty officer in his car, and he could be the one that handles.
You can do that April 1st. That's a whole.
Do we need a meeting?
You have to.
We need a meeting with the township officials then to explain them our.
We have a 911 review board that's made up of chiefs of police, chiefs of fire departments.
It's only 6 members. It's not certain folks. There's only 6 members.
But who do we have?
You,
Yeah,
Mayor Franklin,
right?
Mark
Sheriff.
Murphy, Sheriff's on it, and then 2 township members, Howland and Hubbard. So there's no police other than sheriff.
Lisa, you are part of Alex and Josie, but you are part of the EMA though, correct? And there's a larger footprint there of other police and fire entities. So maybe between the combination of the two, the 911 panel and the EMA meetings, I think that that would be a good way to, I mean, I know for a fact, just sitting at EMA meetings that I had to go to in the past for other things, helping them find staff.
I'm more than happy to call a meeting of the police chiefs, fire chiefs to let them know this is what's gonna happen. But I'm telling you right now, it's gonna go over like a lead balloon.
Well,
Because when I tried to do the funding
I
increase,
think
that
we
went
need,
over like a lead
we need
balloon.
an information meeting, just to let them know what we're facing. And let them know that our options are limited, okay? I mean, I don't wanna just take it and just shove it down their throat,
No,
okay?
I
I just
understand.
need an information meeting with them and say, okay, guys, we're in this together. We have a problem, we have 200,000 non-emergency calls that's causing problems with 911. Now, how do we correct it?
The feedback I've gotten, even just with doing the funding that we did, when you guys asked me to raise it when I first got here 2 years ago, is, well, we don't have the staff for that. We don't have the people for that. How are we supposed to do it? And I hate to be the jerk and say, it's not my job to figure out how you do it. But my job is to know that this is impacting our 911 center negatively, and we shouldn't be the ones responsible for it. So, I mean, I'm more than happy to have an informational meeting to say, this is what we're looking at implementing. This is a friendly notice of like, we're gonna try to start doing this. So here are the solutions and work with it. But I'm telling you right now, it's.
Even for this AI thing, I would like it to be run by the police chiefs and fire chiefs before we were to implement it ourselves, because they're the ones gonna get the calls from their citizens about how they got a robot.
What other counties around us take non-emergency calls?
I believe Summit does, but they have AI that handles it. They actually have a portal on their
Can you
website.
kind of find out, you don't have to give me any answer now.
I can
Let
find
me
out.
know the surrounding counties, 5, 6, 8 counties around us. Do they take non-emergency calls? If not, what do they do? And it gives us a barometer, maybe. I mean, we have to do something.
I'll find out.
And I think what you're finding out is that the non-emergency calls will probably keep going up every year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just keep up and up and up and up.
I have intentionally called Howland Township Police Department. Get 911. It was not an emergency. It is ridiculous.
And that's.
You can't find a number.
And I think that's the problem too, is when people do call, you're expecting to get the agency that you're calling.
Correct.
And then you become irritated, just like you would dealing with a bot. People are just as irritated getting a human because they're like, what do you mean you don't know her?
I couldn't.
Especially when you ask what agency, what township, what
I
military.
dialed a non-emergency number and I ended up at 911.
No.
Imagine my.
We're not gonna solve it today, but we need
No,
to.
I'll research those other agencies and see how they handle it. And get that information for you.
Yeah, right. And
I mean,
and we need to look at that new program that you're talking about.
But I think, again, Bill Dan, so I do think that this needs to be, I think it would be good to have this kind of in conjunction with the new final plan and kind of, hey, there's some new expectations, there's some new ways this is gonna go. And again, it may come with a new funding formula for some of these subdivisions, it may come with, this is just the way things have to go, because again, like they're telling Casey, we don't have enough people to handle this. Well, right now, that's what you guys are facing also, it's not like the county is sitting on a pile of money and a pile of employees that we can just bear all of that. We're facing the same thing here as well.
Well, the problem is when you're bogged down with non-emergency and then you can't take the emergency calls. And I think that's what the whole board's saying, you probably don't have a way of knowing, but I'm sure that happens.
Oh, yeah. Well, the way of knowing is your call answer times aren't meeting the state threshold.
Correct.
And we currently aren't we haven't.
Well, do you have verification of that?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And then we bring that to the meeting also. We
Because
say,
we're
look.
currently under review by the state for those call answering times because they aren't
Well,
meeting the minimums.
We need that information also. That all helps us in our case.
One more thing, I want to Jensen Resources Department. I would also task you to take a look at dog calls, just from what my minimal looking at what's going on. There is a ton of dog calls. We have a kennel. We have on-call employees within their job descriptions that are on call 24/7 to take dog complaints and abuse and all of that. So does Warren City. I mean, those are calls right there that just don't need to be happening. And then I'm going to add another layer of complexity when we're negotiating. And in negotiations, if we're not negotiating on a right size package, I mean, with the employees as far as bargaining goes, if we're not comparing apples to oranges, so for example, we're using comparables from other counties, if they're not taking all these non-emergency calls, of course, no wonder our dispatchers are a little bit disgruntled because we're not looking at apples to apples. So all of those things matter, and it also matters in how we properly compensate the employees either way. So if, you know, obviously if we're getting hope to offload eventually 267,000 calls a year, that's a big difference in amount of work that they're doing. We need to be looking at all of this collectively. And at least we're having the conversation. So that's good. But it does matter how we break it. And there's so many things that we can probably work towards.
I think the biggest problem too is just public education.
Agreed.
Because 9 times out of 10, when you have a problem, you call. I call the police. If it's a dog, if it's a trash complaint, neighbor complaint, you know, any of those things, it's, you know, people don't say, oh, I have a dog complaint, I'm gonna call the dog warrant's office, or I'm gonna call.
That's what they're there for.
That's what they're there
And
for,
it's a
but
benefit
it's
for
just,
me,
it's,
you know?
for lack of a probably better word, it's laziness. I know for 30 years I've lived in this address, the cops know me by name, they know, you know, so they call that 10-digit number that they know by heart. That, you know, I mean, I still know the time and temperature number back in my hometown. It doesn't work anymore, but you know it. So that's just what they're ingrained to call. And they call and then, hey, guess what? Poof, it's magic. Dispatch handles it. But that is the burden on the
Can we
dispatchers.
do like a simple, you know, maybe even like an advertising thing where you say, you call 796 or something like that. Say that's for non-emergency numbers, you know, don't call 911. Okay.
Yeah, they don't call 911. They call the 10-digit number of those police agencies that say cover, and it rolls to
How
us.
many emergency calls a year?
About 200,000.
That's like 600 calls a day.
It's 3 to 1.
600
It's 3 to
calls a day.
1 what we get for emergencies.
I'll
Right.
give you one.
600 calls a day. How do you answer the phone 600 times in one day?
When I came
That's
in
gotta
here
be fixed.
originally, and the elevators were getting redone, the elevators were calling 911 dispatch directly. When people were stuck in the elevators, I said, no, wait a minute. Why wouldn't we at least try to see if, I mean, shouldn't it dispatch maintenance and we get them up or down first or shut off the elevator before we call 911? I mean, and I get it could be an emergency too, if you're stuck in the elevator. I get that. There should be, so that was rerouted and we've had not one issue since then. So there's things that we probably don't even realize are being routed directly to 911. Why, I'm not sure.
I wonder if this is something that our county commissioners association can kind of, we reach out to them and they advise us what other counties. They're dealing with all 88 counties in the state and advise us. So maybe we should make a phone call into them and get some advice or knowledge.
I said, put that in perspective, 600 phone calls a day. We gotta be getting referrals from everywhere to get that, to generate that type of call.
Well, I mean, think about when you have a bad storm that comes through. You don't even want to see what happens then. You're getting calls from
Power
down
outages,
poles,
yeah.
you know, all those things.
Some of it is.
Like I said, if anybody has any doubt about who they call the police. That's just how it goes. So.
Well,
We don't have
you're
the
gonna
answer
look into some
but
of
we need to
what
start
they're doing, like Hunting County, see what they're doing on their own emergency.
Yep.
And then, we're gonna have to come up with some kind of a ultimatum.
That's why we have to get the townships in here, the police
Right.
chiefs, say, look, guys. This is what we're facing.
Okay,
And we'll let Mr. Danzo chair that meeting.
Thank you, because I'm gonna have to start to clone myself for meetings.
like, and AI,
I can use AI, yeah. That's right.
some sort of AI.
AI.
Not all good either.
All right, we're on to 34, notify
I thought we were done.
30. Oh, we skipped 32, that's Beth. To receive Beth's report to Trumbull County Tourism Bureau.
Yep.
For October 34, liquor control public hearing is not requested on the application listed here. And 35 is to appoint. Are we even through that? We have the two. And I think we covered a lot of areas. Anything else? We have a couple more meetings.
Are we scheduled for Monday?
9:30, but yeah, I just want to see from the work, yes, I'll send you. 9:30, 10:30, and so far I have a 1:30.
Well, I think the public should know that starting 9:30 Monday, we start interviews for the golf.
And Alex, you don't need to send us the emails to them to pick a time, just send us a schedule of who you schedule.
Perfect. Once I get confirmation back, I'll send it. So far, there are 6 applicants that were anticipated to be interviewed that day. We've gotten responses back from 4. 2 of the others have asked to move it to a different date and time, which is not an option. So I'll have to let them know either get here. Also, one did ask for a Zoom interview, and I'll be honest with you, my process is no. If you want to apply somewhere and work somewhere, you are to do a face-to-face, but before we like to change that, you let me know right now.
They
live 3 hours
the
away.
posting is still up until when?
19th.
The 19th?
Right.
So I would say someone that's saying they're asking for a different day, accommodate that, because we are only giving them a week's notice, and some people that have jobs.
But it won't be the days that they're asking time. For example, the day after Christmas. I know you guys feel fines, but I mean, it's gonna have to be when you guys agree for the
Correct.
next round. We'll determine that at the next. Okay.
Okay. What about the system?
So first is just the executive. I would highly anticipate the board should, what I'm suggesting is the board should get through the executive assistant first, because many of these people applied for both. So when that scenario comes, you may be able to, no pun intended, to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or you may not. So you may find that you like,
Trying to find 2 great people, maybe want to take the assistant, I'll take
and majority of them did apply. So.
You have a question for me?
No, the only comment I have is that I went to the Voices of the Town fundraiser Saturday night, and I talked to a few people, and they're very concerned. Number one, hiring a dog warden as soon as possible, and the selection. They even asked them if they could be involved, and I told them I think that would be possible. But I think when we do agree on a person and we involve them. And one thing that I didn't know, they told me that the advisory panel, they have been meeting.
Yeah, they had, I mentioned, they had one, when I talked to Michelle, they had one meeting.
So they have to meet.
And they were scheduling another one, so they're gonna be coming to us here pretty soon.
Before we do finalize on who that person is, I would like to give them the courtesy of giving their opinion of that person before we hire them, and let them do their own opinion. They are the group that works with them day in and day out. They're the fundraising wing. You know, they do have 7,000 Facebook followers. I think we don't want to put someone in that's going to be.
I don't have a problem with that. I just didn't know if maybe we could do that.
It's a topic that hasn't been explored, so how about I get back to you on that? Because
And
for
that's the
them
only
to be a
reason I
part of
thought
the actual
I
interview
didn't-
process, no. However, if we'll talk about what else we may be able to do, a meet and greet, a walk through the dog, no matter what, I think if you find somebody that you like in this first round, my next step is to send them to the dog kennel with myself and the walk, or whoever wants to go. But they absolutely need to get boots on the ground. Tacey did it at 911 when we hired her. She actually came into the 911 center and saw it a couple times beforehand. That is how I like to make sure people actually understand what they're getting themselves into. That's just something I do, and you still took it, so that's on you, friend. So,
I agree.
yeah. That'd be a great way, I think. But to have them part of the actual interview process,
I don't think.
they
I
have
don't
no
think
say.
interview, but I do want their blessing. I don't want someone that's going to piss
Well, like
off.
she said, let's we do that walkthrough, we could have them out there.
And they're there anyways. I mean, if you think about it.
Are they allowed to ask questions?
Let me,
Even though that's not.
it's public information.
It's not a formal.
Right.
Interview.
So whoever is applying for this position, let me be very clear, that's why HR is very strict on tracking things. I know every applicant that comes in, so we do get public records requests from the Tribune at times, actually a lot. Who applied for this position? How did you? So that's why it's so important. It's all public information. The resumes are public information. I think when we get down to maybe the, 2, 1, yeah, I think that of course they could just say, I want to see the resume, and that's a public records request to me, and I have to give it to them. So it's not that we're hiding everything's actually very transparent if you stick to the HR process in place. Now, if anybody goes rogue, that's different, but that's, yeah. We try very hard to keep everything very streamlined, so that way it's transparent, it's fair, it's honest, and people can do more requests to see resumes, to see applications, whatever the case may be. And Ray's done that quite a few times, including the grid. The grids have been provided too. That's all public information, so. Job descriptions, what qualifies them for the position, which
Well,
doesn't.
The main thing is the public knows that we're moving forward.
Yeah.
As fast as we can.
Great. I mean, literally the posting comes down the 19th, and we already have our first set of meetings set up for the 22nd. So that's literally the day after. 19th is Friday, 22nd is Monday. Now, like I said, I'm being stringent. I don't think Zoom interviews are fair to everybody else who has to come in here. So that's, but if you guys want to change your mind on that, let me know. I mean, we want somebody here, isn't that the?
I mean, the person that's asking for a Zoom is 3 hours away.
Yes. We can reschedule them for the next round, and if that's, that's not a problem. But if you want to do a Zoom, let me know.
It's the one that has been moved.
So the person lives 3 hours away. I have called everybody, obviously up front, and said, one was in Florida, for example. Are you willing to, yes, we want to relocate, or we're already currently with family here or something like that. I'm not going to get into all
I'll tell you,
that.
that's a little,
Is the one from Florida?
We're gonna take
willing to
their
come up here
word
for
for
an
it that
interview?
they're gonna
Yep, he's here right now.
One from 3 hours away.
It's kind of,
So
She asked if she could do Zoom, and then she said, if not, can we reschedule it for another date?
I can reschedule. Yeah, I don't want to see it in person.
I just want to be fair to all applicants, and if we offer that for one, then my suggestion would be, obviously, you got to look at that for everybody. So if you sit face to face, that's the best way.
and again, these people that are saying that they're gonna move.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna, you have to take their word for it. You're gonna hire somebody and then, well, we're gonna come, and then all of a sudden.
I have had people though, you do have two department heads who don't live here and do do come here, so. But I made them come face to face for that reason. I wanted to see, we wanted to see that they were gonna be able
They're not
to.
gonna come from Florida.
The gentleman's here right now.
It's here.
I just don't want to put that on the record. There's
Okay.
people have families, people, there's.
Okay, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mr. Bernard,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.